Thank you so much. So just a quick intro. So my name is Elena Agaragimova. So I'm the co-founder of Besson. We've created the first Middle East tech platform to measure and improve performance and well-being in corporations, where we're able to track employee learning, encourage them to practice healthy habits, and monitor their improvements. And I'm really excited to have two amazing speakers with me today who are also kind of shaking and moving the world of wellness and technology. So first, I'd like to introduce Waila Hamad. She is the founder of Takalam, which is an online counseling and well-being platform connecting individuals, families, and organizations directly with professional counselors. Waila, welcome. Can you tell us a bit more about what is it that you're doing?
Thank you, Elena. It's great to be with you here. Like you said, Takalam is an online counseling platform connecting users with mental health professionals using video, audio, and instant messaging. Our role is not only to make therapy more accessible and convenient, but also to create awareness and break the cultural stigma around mental health for a greater social impact.
Amazing, welcome. And then we also have, of course, Berk Yilmaz, who is the co-founder of Meditopia, which is a mental wellness platform that provides personalized content, mindfulness-based meditations, sleep meditations, and more to help people build mental resilience in their daily lives. Berk, welcome, and tell us a bit more about the amazing things you guys are doing.
Hi, Elena, and hi all. This is Berk. I'm one of the co-founders of Meditopia, and as you mentioned, we are one of the biggest mental wellness platforms in the world, and we are operating in 10 different languages, from Japan to Brazil to Mexico to Russia, and we provide more than thousands of personalized meditations and programs according to any emotion that you have. We recently have over 15 million users from all these different languages, and we are providing that mental resilience that people need in their daily lives, right from their phones or any other platform.
Yeah, I bet you're getting lots of subscribers these days as well.
Yes, probably we'll talk about that, but of course, especially 2020 came with a lot of changes in all of our personal lives, and that required more internal work that we need to do, and with, of course, a higher demand for these type of products.
Can imagine. So I wanted to kick us off a bit about this, and something we were chatting before we got started is that, okay, wellness, well-being, I feel like these two terms have been smushed together. And is it the same thing? Is it not? What is well-being? What is wellness? Berk, maybe you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. I think, wellness started to be used as more like a physical side of the things, a while ago. And then now we are talking about well-being, because now we start to understand that everybody likes to feel well, right? It comes from that origin. And we were looking at specific topics. The fitness started to emerge, and then we saw that this is a holistic approach. You cannot just be well by doing some individual thing good, because you're also a complex being, and that comes with being well in many aspects of it. You cannot just separate physical wellness from nutritional wellness, or maybe financial wellness or mental wellness. And we probably all felt sometimes trapped or sad, even however we feel good about physically, and maybe we are in an amazing place, but we don't feel good. So that creates the understanding that being well, it's not tied to one specific thing, but now needs to be looked at a more holistic level. And I think mental side of it is the crucial part of it, because everything starts and ends with the mind, right? It doesn't matter where are you or what you're doing, but mind is the crucial thing. And that actually well-being side is now a little bit also dominated by the mental side of it.
Absolutely. And this is also something we focus very much in some of the research that we've done. It's like, it affects the mind, like you said. So when your finances are off, it's going to affect your well-being, right? So there's financial well-being, there's social well-being, how connected you are to others. And all of these things, I think, it's about time we really start kind of bringing them forward to the discussion and saying it's a holistic approach as well. So there's much more to it than what we might imagine. So let's dig a little bit deeper. So Waila, what sort of inspired you to enter the wellness space?
So we've been talking about this also prior to the session. And like I said, this is not my background. My co-founder and I both come from media, business, and technology backgrounds. So we came up honestly with the solution to solve a personal and social problem, and that was prior to COVID. There is a lack of providers in the country in general, and there is inconvenience for seeking therapy. So we realized while we're going through the concept that this is actually a need that's that's lacking for the whole region, not just only for us as individuals. And in specific, the UAE has the highest depression rates in the region, and that's according to the WHO. But thanks to our leadership, our government has been proactive in addressing these issues even prior to COVID. And by setting up the Ministry of Happiness, adding it to the national agenda. And even during COVID, they were so fast in reacting by setting up a national campaign and a helpline that worked very well in creating awareness about mental well-being within our communities. However, with all of these efforts, we are still lacking some efficient ways of conducting therapy or counseling in general. So there is a gap that still needs to be filled, and technology comes in place to fill this gap by making things more accessible, by making things more convenient and more efficient to everyone to access mental health support. So digital solutions are extremely needed now more than ever. And that's where we kind of we're coming from.
Great. Yeah. And with technology, it also makes it more affordable as well. What about you, Burke? You guys have been around for almost 4 years, I believe.
Yeah, actually, like we started our entrepreneurial journey with my co-founders like six and a half years ago, and our main intention is to have this social and financial value hand in hand in a scalable side. So we first focused on the aging population and did a couple of other businesses. But then, of course, as a first-time founder, you start experiencing mental burdens at the end because you are trying to strive for things and try to achieve a certain limit of success or satisfaction at the end. But that's a very hilly road, right? And then that creates problems, and that's where I started to feel on myself that stress and anxiety and so on. That led me to that combined with my like evolutionary psychology and behavioral psychology interest, and also mindfulness, which appeared to be this bridge between the because we see that mental wellness is like a spectrum, right? You have this daily inspiration to really mental health and therapy. And these days, the technology is a huge tool, and also new approaches like acceptance and commitment therapy, mindfulness-based interventions that takes these more intense, committed mental therapies to daily lives. And I think this is how we need to manage our mental well-being in these days, because it's no more of course there's spectrum, but it's always daily ups and downs we all face during the day. So we need to manage it every day. So you need tools to manage that. And that, create our personal experience and personal backgrounds, created this understanding how we can bridge these two. And that's really, afforded us to think about mental wellness. And we figured out that localization is a very critical thing, because when we were looking at, there were a couple of different mental wellness and meditation apps that are usually influenced by westernized societies, and we said that however what you feel is really shaped by your surroundings and by the community that you live in. So we started saying, can we do this on a localized basis? We started in Turkey, and then we started to localize our services in 10 different languages on a localized perspective. And yeah, now we are here.
Yeah, and I applaud both of you, because you're kind of, you know, by localizing, you're tackling those challenges, and it's very much, I mean, it's still, you know, in many ways a taboo to talk about certain mental health challenges, right? In corporations, for example, people have a fear of speaking up and speaking to their management. That's a fact. That's, you know, there's studies that's been done. So I think that the fact that we're starting to raise this in our region is very important. And as you guys have mentioned, it gives access, and that daily, almost like Burke, when you were saying, you know, that daily dose, I always feel like you just have this little buddy inside your pocket on your phone, on your app, that you pull out, and you can kind of have that interaction and check in with yourself on your well-being, or take a moment to kind of practice mindfulness. And this is how technology is impacting essentially the wellness, of well-being space. Because before, as you guys know, you know, in therapy, I mean, how expensive are therapists, right? So you know, an hour, I mean, it can a few $100s, right? So when you're having these, you know, consultants, it's a few $100s. Not everybody can afford it. So technology is opening that up for us. But as with anything, there's pros, there's cons. So then there's also risks, right? When it comes to tech and all the data that is collected and things like that. What are some risks you guys see with using technology, if you ran into anything as well?
Honestly, for us, our strategy is a bit different. So the privacy aspect is extremely important for us. People are already uncomfortable with this idea, and they are stigmatized, and they need to be assured that they have a place where they can share and talk as freely as they can. So to ensure the privacy aspect of the platform, we actually intend to not save any data on the platform. So any data that's going to be recorded by the physician or the counselor should be kept with them directly, and nothing on the platform. So I mean, that's one way to protect and mitigate the risks with losing data or having data leak, like what's happened recently with Talkspace, which is one of the market leaders, and we were discussing yesterday with Burke. The other aspect, honestly, because so these platforms though are not made for everyone. So there is a risk in handling high risk situations or severe cases like suicidal cases and those from that angle. So those are not you know, advised to be on the platform, and they should be seeking help from you know, an emergency number or a suicidal helpline in this case.
Okay, Burke, anything to add here?
I agree. Of course, you know, any type of scalability comes with the lack of personalized solutions, and mental wellness is a very personalized aspect of it. But when you look at on general, you know, how many people really in potential to get help, you know, like the accessibility part is already so low. The percentage of people who are maybe they're severely depressed, but going for help and in a sustainable way is really low. So I believe in either case, you know, technology really at least opens a way for people to be aware to look for their mental well-being. And then, of course, the platforms need to take the responsibility to inform their users on any certain scenarios. They need to take this to another level for themselves. But if I look at it in an accumulative perspective, I believe these are just doing good at the end, at least for opening a way, opening a perspective for users, because you can just download something in 5 minutes and then listen for 5 minutes and get at least a perspective. Okay, so I can invest in my mental well-being, and this can be good. So what else I can do in my position? So yeah, I think that there are small risks and there are individual cases. But if you look at the reach and what the accessibility issue and the previous dogmas that people have, this is a huge leap in the last 5 years which we have.
Absolutely. And speaking of leaps, I think that, you know, as with so many negative things that happen, there's always a silver lining. And if anything, I think the pandemic has shown us given us a mirror in many cases, right, and kind of forced us to face some of the challenges, at least particularly what we hear from clients and corporates. You know, it kind of made them face the fact that maybe they need to invest a little bit more about employee or in employee well-being. So has this helped you guys to sort of raise awareness? You've been doing this for quite a while now, right? So you already knew the impact of it, but maybe part of it was also maybe educating the importance of these topics to the world. And now it's kind of accelerated. Did you guys see the sort of push in your businesses since the pandemic?
Yeah, honestly, there was a huge demand, a peak on demand, because so like, let's look at ourselves, right? You know, in a daily hectic life, what we are doing is that we are always escaping from ourselves, you know, staying at home, you know, spending time on ourselves, you know, not doing much internal work, but we go out with friends, we do something else, and we do something else. We are trying to escape from any suffering that we have, and because it's a challenge to look at the inside, right? Look at your emotions, what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling. And that pandemic actually, you know, closed us, especially in the quarantine, to our homes, nothing to do, and with a lot of uncertainty, anxiety, and so on. So people actually needed to shift their mindset and started to look for solutions to help them. And when you look at some of the data, you see that there I think major changes happen, right? So from personal level to higher divorce rates, or everybody took at least a small change and took an action in their lives. And that any change comes with uncertainty and needs a certain type of support. And that's why I believe people start to be more aware, start to look more these type of solutions. And that's what we saw, like in terms of organic demand, the downloads, we saw huge peaks. And also many companies and corporates started to approach us. Previously we were trying to convince them to invest on this, but then, they said, okay, maybe, this is the right tools to invest right now, because we need to keep employee productivity high and happiness high. So we started to get a lot of inbound calls. So yeah, so I think it was a period of high demand for these type of products. And I think this will continue, right? Because this is a wave. And wave already, it's a awareness. And when there's an awareness, it stays. So mental well-being awareness is here to stay, and we'll just keep on growing in the upcoming years.
Absolutely. We see the same trends with Western as well, with some of the corporate requests. What about you guys, Hawla?
So same thing here. We've noticed an increased demand, and we actually had to accelerate with our plans because of the overwhelming partners or and entities that were approaching us to try and offer these solutions as part of their services. And again, like the pandemic has raised awareness, obviously, about mental health. And the more important part, though, is what comes after the pandemic. And this has been brought up many times by the UN and WHO, warning governments and individuals of the next pandemic or the aftermath of the pandemic, which is a mental health crisis. And for those especially on the front line suffering burnout and will probably suffer PTSD, they're gonna be affected the most. And one of those projects that we're running at the moment is actually offered to frontline workers in the UAE. So again, like Berg said, many people have lost their jobs, many people have lost even their loved ones, loss of grief and anxiety, OCD, etc. I mean, like there is a need to learn new ways how to cope with all these difficulties and try to manage our emotions. On the other hand, in terms of investors, this is the new space or the new domain that they got interested in all of a sudden. So they found this new growing market as the corona, have taken over the world economy and everything. So overall, and the around the globe, there has been over $580 million raised for mobile applications or technologies to do with mental health. And in the US, there has been about 4 million downloads for mental health applications only in the month of April. So there is extreme demand, and demand not only from individuals, but also from investors, from governments, from everyone that's seeing the importance of mental health from now moving on in the future.
Yeah, and another thing that sort of comes to mind is the fact that we have been sort of reactive. So we've been reacting, to what's happening instead of proactive and saying, how can we prevent people from hitting burnout? How can we prevent people from, having those suicidal thoughts, right? And all of those different negative things. And what sounds like is that there needs to be a lot more work done in educational space, in institutions, in corporations. So although it is debatable whose responsibility it is to take care of our well-being, but I see there's two responsible parties at least, which is, if you're a young student, it's your school, your university, we need to incorporate it, right? And then on the corporation side, it's the responsibility of yourself as an individual, but also part of the corporation's responsibilities to support the employee and their well-being, right? So how important do you see this as, Burke, as you mentioned, now companies are sort of, waking up to the fact that maybe we need to invest in this. So I'm liking this proactive approach and I'm hoping it will stay. What do you guys think about that?
Of course, I think one of the key things of mental wellness services, especially offered to corporations, is that there's a little measurability, and that is the big barrier that you need to solve. But at the end, of course, there are some metrics. What are they? Is that, for example, when you look at sick days, 50% of people who are saying, I'm not feeling well, my stomach hurts, and so on, that's actually tied to mental wellness, right? And when people go to the insurance claims, 65% are related to stress. So when you look at actually the vacation, the sick days and the lack of productivity, and also the people are not performing real well, the mental well-being side plays a huge role. So, and that's what you're seeing in today's environment, I guess, in the companies, right? When you look at the new grads and people are not looking for just monetary compensation anymore, but they are always looking for a peaceful environment, happy environment. And that is one of the biggest employee retention strategies right now. That's what we are trying to, give to our employees, offer that, okay, so of course we will work responsibly, but we will work in a chill way, right? Just because, this is not this of course will be an intense environment in some ways, but we need to balance that out, and we need to have a long-term well-being, especially on the mental side. So it's an employee retention strategy. It's a improve productivity strategy. I think as companies starts to be more aware of this, and as B2B product starts to be able to more measure this, and that will happen with more case studies, I suppose, and that coronavirus will help these case studies to appear, then it will be much more easier to add. But still, I think that's already now there's a wave and companies are starting to demand that, and it will go up as the awareness rises.
The mental well-being of their employees, as they obviously recognize the benefits on the on the long term when it comes to productivity and keeping a healthier work environment. So it's extremely important. Yeah.
Listen, I just want to see corporations do something beyond the Fitbits, beyond giving everybody Fitbits in the office. Let's do something more. Well-being is beyond that, right? So, you guys are right. I completely agree as well. And Berk, to your point, you said that we see this need, and especially among the young population. So, the younger generations that are coming into the workforce, they're actually the most under stress, and a lot of it for them. A big part of why they join an organization is to have that purpose, to be part of something bigger, not necessarily just to kind of tick the box of getting a salary. It's beyond that. And I think this is what corporations just start to consider, is that, this well-being, it leads directly to productivity of their people. So it's not necessarily this, let's hold hands and make everybody feel good. No, it's we're talking about business outcomes. You want productivity out of your employees, you need to invest in their well-being, because this is how they produce, this is how they show up at their best. Without it, it's very difficult. And do you see this, so with everything that's happening, with some of the things we've been discussing, do you see as, the future of work and the lifestyle of a worker tomorrow, is it going to change? Do you see that that's going to shift, or do you think it's going to take some time? What do you guys think?
It's already changing, right? It's already changed. It's already right now. So we are a team of 50, and we are working remotely until March, right? So, and we are a mental well-being company, and we are trying to adapt to. And so everybody's trying to adapt. It's already changed, and I think it will change more. Now it's more now. It changed a little bit. Now it's, I think, time to settle. And now I think the upcoming 6 months will be a time for adaptation for all companies to figure out, okay, so this is here to stay in a way. And now what tools we can invest, what tools we can integrate into to make sure that we have a sustainable environment. Because until now, we didn't know anything and what to do. So we were on a phase of, okay, let's see upcoming month, let's see upcoming month, let's see upcoming month. But now you see that, okay, this change is here to stay. And then you start to come up with ideas. Okay, so what can we do in this stage right now, as it will last forever? And what type of tools that we need to invest? And you can see there are two types of things. One of them is if you have a long-term employees that already have a social capital, they stay and you do very hard work and they got burned out, right? And there are also newcomers into the company, and newcomers are having hard time to adapt. And they're always newcomers have less productivity, and as the social capital adds up, they become more productive. So now in a company you have these two sides that you need to manage, either burnout or increase productivity and focus. And that needs tools, and that always needs a certain level of mental wellness management. And I think these main things are here, already changed and here to stay.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Anything to add here, Hawla?
I mean, not that much as well. It's like you said, people are already becoming more aware, and it's happening, and it's going to keep on changing. People are going to start taking care of their mental health just like they take care of their physical health, and that's going to become out there when across the look after their mental well-being.
Absolutely. I think I also agree, Burke. I think it's here to stay. I think it's only going to grow. And as we become busier and the lives become more hectic, I think that the fact that we can have this little friend in our pocket, access it via phone anytime, anywhere, in a way that we can actually afford it, and our corporations can afford it as well, right? So that's usually the big thing, is the investment in these sort of things. And with technology, we see that this is really going to change. And again, it's making it affordable, maintaining the same quality, and with platforms like Mediatopia that are doing things all over the world, it's I think this is some of the really exciting things that are going to be happening within the space. Definitely something to watch. I think we are wrapping up now. So thank you guys for joining. Any final takeaways, any final pieces of wisdom you want to give to the audience before we close off?
Burke, you go, since you are more in this space when it comes to mindfulness. And honestly,
give us a mindfulness moment, Burke.